Hey you guys, what's going on? Welcome to another sort of old computer review. So this is actually my first time reviewing proper hardware as far as old computers go, but today I have something quite interesting to show you guys. This is an Apple eMac, circa about 2002-2003. I think the G2 or G3 eMac, if I remember correctly. And it's a bit of a bulky computer. It has a CRT display, 768 megabytes of RAM, a 30 gigabyte hard drive, and Mac OS 10.4 Tiger. So the ports on the side, we have, hopefully you can see all these. We have a microphone port, 3 USB 1.0 ports, 2 FireWire 400 ports, a modem port, so you can connect phones, an Ethernet port, and I think this is some kind of video connection thing. I'm not I forgot what that's actually called. And then we have the power button right there. The thing about these eMacs as well was that they had a really terrible tendency when they first came out to lose their power buttons when you'd remove the back of them, due to the awkward placement of them. So that was a bit of an issue, and Apple never really bothered to resolve that. Again, yeah, it was just a kind of issue of the time. And so now let's go right into this. So again, pardon the CRT flicker. This is not a new computer at all. And I mean that, like, in the most serious way possible. This is a very, like, quite a classic computer. So, once I'm actually logged in, if we just go to About This Mac, as you can see, we're running Mac OS X 10.4.1 Tiger with a 1 GHz PowerPC G4 processor and 768 megabytes of SD RAM. Great stuff indeed. So, as far as software that this computer included, it had quite a bit, especially for its time. So let's just go to the application folder, booting up Finder. It actually runs really smooth for its time, and as you can see, we have a lot of our basic OS X apps that we still have to this very day. So a couple, because I got this from a relative, they had installed. So they installed Firefox on here. They also installed Norton Antivirus by the looks of it, by the little logo up there. They installed Office 2004 over AppleWorks, so it now has full Microsoft Office on here. So I mean, I guess that's pretty cool. I'll show you that in a little bit. And then it has Safari and, hilariously enough, Internet Explorer. Yes, it has iMac. I think the entire reason it has this installed on it is because of the day and age of this computer. I think it came with like Mac OS 10.1 on it, if I remember right, which all versions of OS X prior to 10.3 all came with Internet Explorer as their default browser, so that would explain that. Oh yes, and two other things I forgot to mention is the keyboard and the mouse. This is the default Apple keyboard. I think this is the original that came with the computer, and then we have the Apple mouse sitting on top of Great Illustrated Classics. Very nice. So the mouse works just fine. As you can see, I'm clicking in and it's opening up the expose feature. So everything on there works fine. Speakers work great, so I'll just turn the volume up so you can know that the speakers are working. And along with that, all the keys on the keyboard are working as well. Here, I guess I'll just show you some things in Office real quick, because I found this quite interesting. It came with Office Mac 2001, I think. Oh, 2004. Wow, it's been updated. Coolio. So if we just open up a Word document, as you can see, there you have Microsoft Word. We can type. And everything works. Formatting tools, everything works fine, except this mouse has a tendency to mess up every once in a while, so I'll just change the font size up to 20. Perhaps I'll bolden it to italicize and underline it. So as you can see, everything on it works perfectly well. So that's quite cool. Oh yeah, I could just... some other interesting things to note as well is the DVD player. Now, where the DVD tray was on this computer is really non-conspicuous. It is actually this right here, which also houses some information about the computer. So this disc tray in specific is actually broken. You can pry it open, it just takes a bit of effort to do. But yeah, it has some basic information there. It has the serial and the Ethernet, and the gigahertz and everything of the disk drive. So that's all quite cool. The design of this computer was honestly great for its time as well. Like, seriously. It looked really nice, and its design did carry on into the newer Mac. So I have here an iMac G5, and this really was the first Mac to have that sort of all-white, perfectionist Apple design that Apple is known for. Well, I'd say that as the first Mac that had it. The iPods have had that design since about 2001, 2002-ish. Well, since the first generation iPods, so 2001. So the iPods have always had that sort of white, modern design. And that's about it. Other cool apps that this came with is an older version of iTunes. We'll just wait for that to open. Yes, it's actually not that old of a version either. Or it's not that bad of a version, I should say. iTunes 9 from 2009. So it's not running that old of a version of iTunes, if we're really looking at the more recent ones. The design is pretty much literally the same as what we have nowadays. And so, everything there works properly. Another kind of cool app, this was carried over from OS 9, was Sherlock. So, this app, essentially what it allowed you to do was it allowed you to search for things in, I guess, a more convenient and organized fashion. It was discontinued, the application sort of ceased development in about 2004 or 5. So it's a bit of a shame. Sherlock actually wasn't a bad app at all. It was pretty good, especially for its time, for searching files and the internet. And so Sherlock was pretty good. Another interesting feature to note, although I can't demonstrate this on the video, is the classic environment. So basically what this allowed you to do is it allowed you to run Mac OS 9 applications. So if you had, say, Rhapsody on a Mac OS 9 computer and you still had the disk but you wanted to put it on the eMac, you could still do that if you really wanted to. And it runs it as a sort of classic environment, so you get the classic bar along the top and everything. It was really quite interesting, especially for its time. So that was also quite neat. So if we just go into here, it won't be able to detect a system folder for Classic either. I mainly just use the defaults, or I'm planning to just use the default Macintosh HD, yeah. I'm planning to just use the default Macintosh HD because I can sort of format it. Oh, in memory. Or no. In start, yes, you can choose the system folder. And so I'm planning to, once I get this to work, run the Macintosh HD and get some classic applications running in OS X. Just because I think that'd be kind of cool to get maybe an older version of AppleWorks or something like that, which all eMacs did come with AppleWorks as well, but a newer version, so I wanted to see if an older one would work. And the thing with this copy of AppleWorks is that it was actually replaced by Office, so that was a bit weird. It's not actually AppleWorks anymore, so if you actually click it, it opens Microsoft Word, which is a bit odd. I will second. It's a bit weird indeed. I'll just force quit Word. So there we go. Oh, no, we're not going to force the Finder to quit. That wouldn't be good. So, yeah, that's just about all for the eMac. Some other cool little design things to note were, I think the relative that had this computer last actually had a EyeSight camera on it, because it still has the piece of Velcro that came with a lot of the EyeSight cameras of the time. And then as well as that, the cooling fan is along the back of the computer, so right back here is actually the cooling fan. And it's very silent as well. I don't know if you're able to hear it in the video, but it's very quiet and very, very nice. So the fan and everything is just wonderful. And so, yeah. Now I guess sort of to end off this video, I will show you the boot down time, just so you can sort of compare that to modern computers today. So we're just going to shut it down, and see how long it takes for it to shut down. It's actually surprisingly not that bad with the shutdown process. It's a bit of loading, but it's again not terrible, especially considering what it is, which what it is a 2003 Apple computer, which I love Apple computers, but they have a tendency to not age as gracefully as a lot of others. Even though, to be fair, the design of this could still fare as a modern computer today in a lot of ways. Kind of like, to put into stark comparison, the computers of this time, I have over here a old Hewlett-Packard Brio, and as you can see, this has not aged nearly as kindly. I mean, albeit this is a few years old, or younger rather, but only 2 years, and you see that design and you're just like, oh, that looks like an old computer. But you see this, and it honestly doesn't look that old, even in modern day sort of standards. So Apple did in my opinion, splendid job with the design of the eMac. I think it looks great to this day, and it's one of my favorite Apple designs because it did sort of inspire the other Apple designs of the other future to-be Macs. So you can sort of see their sort of size comparison of the iMac G5 there and the eMac there. In terms of width, there's no comparison. The G5 is so much thinner. But yeah, they're both actually really, really good computers. Well, the eMac is a great computer. And it's also a very nice collector's item. These are actually fairly challenging to come across nowadays, just due to how they didn't sell that many back in their main time, which I think Apple discontinued these around 2005. And they didn't sell that much at all, especially compared to, say, the iMac line. I guess also to kind of end off this video, I'll also show you the boot up time, just while I'm finished rambling. So, yes, again, absolutely love the design and the look, and even using this computer in modern day times, I don't think would be that bad. Like, I would never use this as a day-to-day computer, and I wouldn't really recommend that people do, but if you're just somebody who browses the internet or something, yeah, this computer can do it just fine. I mean, you have to hook it up to an Ethernet port, but yeah, it can still browse the internet just fine, and it can do a lot of things. Well, I say a lot of things, and I say that very loosely, that a lot of modern computers can do. It can be used as a server manager, again, because it has the classic environment. You can run things like Rhapsody on it. And so, it can be used today. It would make a great server machine, to be fair. This computer, like, in terms of, like, power and everything, is ideal for a server computer. Very much so. So, if you wanted to use it as a server machine, there's really nothing stopping you there. But, again, I would never recommend using it as a day-to-day computer. And it is also a very nice collector's item at the same time, as, again, as I stated before, these were rather hard to come across. But I was lucky enough to just get one from a relative for free, which was great. So, I guess that about wraps up this video where I sort of ramble on about the eMac and review it. So, if you like this video, please do remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.